Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes life doesn't need a grand event to change. Sometimes all it takes is an early morning. Waking up at 4 a.m. isn't about joining a trend. It's not about chasing hustle culture. It's about something far more profound. It's about giving yourself a moment in the world that no one else is trying to claim. At 4 a.m., the world is asleep, but your dreams are wide awake. Your fears are quiet. Your mind is calm. It's the hour where excuses vanish and clarity rises. The birds haven't started singing, the traffic hasn't started humming, and the notifications haven't started demanding. It's just you and your truth. Somewhere along the way, we became too busy surviving to stop and truly live. We wake up already late, not just for work, but for ourselves, and then the day swallows us whole. Deadlines, pressure, noise, expectation. But at 4 a.m. the world is not watching. No one is expecting anything from you. And that, my friend, is a blessing in disguise. At 4 a.m. you are allowed to be soft. You are allowed to be honest. You are allowed to start again. It is the most sincere conversation you will ever have, not with the world, but with your soul. You don't have to run marathons or write bestsellers in the silence of that hour. Just sit, breathe. Write down one thought that matters. Stretch your body and feel the weight it has carried without your gratitude. Read a page, pray a prayer, whisper a dream. That's where the real transformation begins, not in action, but in awareness. Because the truth is, the life you want isn't waiting for you on the other side of success. It's waiting for you at the edge of your comfort, in the quiet where you finally meet yourself. That self is not broken. That self is not behind. That self is just waiting for you to show up. When you wake up before the world, you are no longer reacting to life. You are creating it. You'll notice something beautiful. Peace becomes your baseline. Intent becomes your rhythm. Gratitude becomes your language. You're no longer caught in the noise. You're writing your story before the world can edit it. Some people wake up and rush into the world. But you'll wake up and rise into yourself. And once you do, nothing will be the same. You'll start to walk differently. You'll speak more kindly to your dreams. You'll stop apologizing for wanting more purpose, more alignment, more serenity. There will be days when you won't feel like getting up at 4. You'll be tired. You'll tell yourself it doesn't matter. But that's where the change hides, in the moment you rise even when it's hard. Not for the world, for you. This isn't just about changing your schedule. It's about changing your identity from someone who's lost in the noisy to someone who chooses the stillness. Because the most powerful thing you can do isn't to conquer the world. It's to sit with yourself before the world gets a chance to distract you. So wake up, not just from sleep, but from numbness. Wake up from autopilot. Wake up from the belief that you are not enough. The quiet of 4 a.m. is waiting, not to make you perfect, but to remind you that even in the silence, you are worthy of every beautiful thing this life has to offer. And if the world asks you why you're awake so early, smile and say, asterisk asterisk, because my life deserves the kind of attention I've been giving to everything else. Asterisk asterisk, wake up at 4 a.m. and meet the person you were always meant to be. Waking up at 4 a.m. is not about chasing metrics, meeting deadlines, or outworking everyone around you. It is not a badge of honor to boast about, nor is it a trend to follow blindly. It is a quiet, sacred commitment to yourself, to reclaim the part of life that so often gets lost in the noise of the day. When the world is asleep, something magical happens. The air is still. The sky carries a soft darkness, not gloomy, but tender like a blank canvas, untouched and waiting. This hour doesn't demand from you. It invites you. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And in that whisper, if you listen closely, your soul begins to speak. There is something incredibly healing about waking up when no one else does. You are not yet carrying the weight of the day. No unread messages, no meetings, no responsibilities pulling you in 1,000 directions. It's just you, raw, unfiltered, real. In that moment, you remember who you are underneath all the roles you play. Beneath the worker, the parent, the friend, the achiever, there's simply a human being, breathing, existing, and worthy of peace. In the early hours of the morning, you don't have to be productive to make it meaningful. The gift is not in what you do, but in what you feel. Perhaps you sit in silence, letting your thoughts come and go like passing clouds. Perhaps you pray, meditate, or journal. Perhaps you sip tea while watching the sky transition from dark to light. Each moment becomes a conversation not with the world, but with yourself. A conversation you've probably been avoiding for a while. And it's in that silence, without distractions, that your truth gently rises to the surface. We live in a world that demands urgency. Every second of the day is claimed by a notification, an obligation, a comparison. But at 4 a.m., the world hasn't begun pulling at you yet. You are not being asked to be strong or smart or successful. You are just allowed to be. That freedom, rare and precious, allows your mind to breathe and your heart to realign. And when you give yourself that space, you start to hear what you really need. Not what society says you should want, but what your soul is actually craving. There's a version of you that lives quietly inside the version that dreams, feels deeply, and believes in something more. But that version often gets buried under routines and expectations. At 4 a.m., that version steps into the light, not to impress, not to perform, but just to be acknowledged, to be seen, heard, and loved by you. That's where the shift begins. Because once you reconnect with yourself in that space, you carry that connection throughout your day. You make decisions with more clarity. You speak with more intention. You walk through the world knowing you started your morning with purpose, not pressure. People often think that waking up early is a discipline of the body. But in truth, it is a discipline of the heart. It's about choosing your inner world over the outer one, even if only for an hour. It's about choosing to value your stillness more than your speed. In that choice, there is power, not loud, dominant power, but soft, resilient power, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself because it already knows its worth. You may not feel transformed the first time you wake up early. In fact, you may feel tired, restless, even doubtful. But if you stay with it, if you give yourself that hour consistently, something inside you begins to shift. Not overnight, but gently, day by day, your mind becomes quieter. Your emotions feel more manageable. You become less reactive and more intentional. That hour becomes your grounding, your moment of alignment before the chaos begins. You don't need a perfect routine. You don't need to check 10 boxes before sunrise. You only need presence, a willingness to meet yourself with honesty, to sit with your dreams, your fears, your hopes, and say, I see you, I'm here, I'm listening. That simple act can change the entire rhythm of your life. Because waking up at 4 a.m. is not about getting ahead of others. It's about catching up with yourself. And in a world where we are always running, chasing, proving what a beautiful rebellion it is to just stop, breathe, and return to who we are at our core. When you begin your day with intention, the rest of your day follows with grace. And when you start your morning in silence, your voice during the day carries more strength. That's the quiet truth behind those early hours. They don't just change your schedule. They slowly, gently, powerfully begin to change your life. Let me know if you want a shorter version for Reels, an SEO description, or a thumbnail line for this speech. And so, in the gentle stillness of 4 a.m., something sacred unfolds not in grand gestures, but in the smallest, quietest moments. This silence that surrounds you before the world begins to stir is not hollow. It is pregnant with meaning, filled with possibilities that the noise of the day often drowns. It is in this silence where your distractions lose their grip, where your self-doubt has no audience, and your fears are finally quiet enough for you to walk past them. We spend so much of our lives consumed by roles we wear, by deadlines we chase, by approval we seek. But at 4 a.m., when no one is watching, when the lights are low and the world is asleep, that is when your real reflection begins to appear. And for once, it's not distorted by judgment, comparison, or pressure. It's just you, raw and whole.